Hey guys, how are you today? I hope you're doing well. Just wanted to cover a couple of quick updates around RTI and dyslexia for this fall. First off, I wanted to touch base on a couple of misconceptions that we've heard out in the field as we're out supporting you guys on campus. Things like a predetermined start date for intervention or a must progress monitor for weekly intervention. Can't start dyslexia until a student has been evaluated. Or that RTI designated supports can't be given to a student if they're no longer receiving a tiered 2 or 3 intervention. That SST meetings are only for academic concerns, and or that secondary, if a student's placed in intervention, they need to stay there all year. So these are some of the misconceptions we often hear from interventionists as we're working, and we just wanted to clear them up with some RTI truths. So campuses, you guys have complete ability to determine when a student begins an intervention, how long they stay in intervention, when to change it or dismiss it, how often you progress monitor is really based on the student and the placement and the type of gap and the type of intervention that you're giving. And then designated supports, those are things that can stay in place for students as long as they are deemed reasonable and necessary, and the student can use them independently. So really, you have a lot of autonomy on your campuses to work within our system to make these determinations as best suit the student. And then when dyslexia is suspected, you guys, of course, you place the student in the appropriate intervention right away. We never, ever, ever hold off on intervention for a kiddo. You collect that information in a referral packet, and we'll talk about those checklists in just a few minutes. And then you send it in for us to assess, and you hold a 504 meeting. But again, all of that's in your control, and we never hold back an intervention for a kiddo. So those are just some of our truths to kind of dismiss the myths that we're hearing out on campuses. I'm going to jump right into dyslexia updates. You probably spoke with your AP over the last week around the updates we presented to them last Thursday, but I wanted you to be able to have them in a format you could refer back to. I'm not going to read everything to you or go into in-depth, but I just want you to know that we've got a lot of new going on in dyslexia on our team this year. We've revamped the parent information forms, the dysgraphia input forms, to align with our assessment and dig a little deeper, get a little more information from those parents. We have updated and shortened the dyslexia and dysgraphia checklists. We've created 2 separate ones, one for an SST referral, so campus-based decision, and one in case it's a parent request that will just allow us to dig a little deeper and ask a few more questions of those parents before we begin assessment. So that's new on the how to get ready for assessing side. And then new in the evaluation report. We have completely revamped the report to be a bit easier to read, to fall into place under the dyslexia characteristics. So the order of the report has definitely changed. And when you receive your first one, you'll notice a big difference in the narrative and in the layout. And this is the order, of course, you can see for the evaluation of the report. Our biggest change this year, you guys, has been in support changes that we're going to offer from our team to your 504 coordinator. So when we send back a report starting this fall, we are going to offer the opportunity to sit and have a conversation with your 504 coordinator to review the evaluation so that your coordinator can lead that 504 meeting with some confidence. We're asking that parents and guardians receive that report prior to the 504, that you collect parent questions, and then we can either review with you via email, phone, or Google Hangout and talk through that report. So when you actually come to the 504 meeting, you have a deeper knowledge and understanding of what we saw on that day, and we've answered some questions beforehand for the parents so that you can jump into the important part of that meeting, and that is making good decisions for the student. So that's what we're going to offer in support-wise for a 504 on an evaluation that did identify dyslexia tendencies. But for those D and Qs, this year we're offering to actually be a part of that 504 meeting. Come out and talk through the evaluation, why we don't see the dyslexia tendencies at this moment in time, and answer some questions, conclusions, concerns, and then help be a part of the decision-making if you'd like us to be. Around next steps for that student. Of course, both of these things are optional, but if your 504 coordinator would like our support in either of these areas, we are happy to make that happen. And lastly, I just really quickly want to show you our website, our new and improved website. All of this information is there, and you can see that we are now part of Teach and Learn. I'm hoping this is showing you that. Ryan, will you let me know if they can't see it?
Nope, you're good.
Awesome. So right here, we've got all of these buttons that directly relate to RTI. Dyslexia is right here. And all of this information that I just shared with you, including all of the paperwork, can be found on this page. So that's really all I've got for you today. If you've got questions, concerns, or wonderings regarding RTI, dyslexia, or at risk, please don't hesitate to give me a call.
All right, thanks, Kimberly. And one thing that pointed out or stood out to me too at that AP meeting, when we each of the dyslexia evaluators, they help each other out, but we kind of have one that's unique to each learning community, correct?
Yes. Yes, we do. We have, and they have already reached out to your 504 coordinator. So you have a direct contact, not for each learning community, because we only have 4 evaluators at the moment. But they have designated campuses. However, because we are working to streamline the timeline for our evaluations, it is possible that your contact in our department will not be the person coming out onto your campus to evaluate, because we're evaluating as students come into our queue.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. I didn't see any questions come in, but Kimberly will share that presentation with me, and it'll come out in the email and be on the website for anybody that is going to watch and check it out later.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Kimberly. You're more than welcome to watch everybody else, or you can go about your work supporting our campuses.
Fabulous. Thanks.
All right, so we're going to kick it over then to Ms. Marie Gonzalez, our Executive Director of Special Education. Ready, Marie?
I sure am. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Ryan, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yep, we can.
Okay, hang on. All right. I have a couple of quick reminders / announcements from special education this morning. The first one is about a new law that went into effect that says we have to send a letter to all of our parents of 5th and 8th grade students receiving special education services regarding the SSI process. So they sort of understand at the beginning of the year an overview of how SSI may impact their child throughout the school year. Want to let you know, special education has already sent that letter out in both English and Spanish through eStar DocuShare. So that letter went out prior to September 1st, just like we're supposed to. But I wanted you all to be able to see the letter. And I've got a link here. You can access it on your own time, but a quick preview here. This letter went out. It gives the overview, and it does say at the end, hey, by the way, if you have questions about the process, please feel free to contact your child's campus. You guys are the experts on our individual students. So wanted you to have a little bit of a heads up about that. Next, I want to talk about Child Find. I had the pleasure of speaking with all the assistant principals last week about Child Find. Of course, it's a responsibility we take very seriously. We are absolutely required to identify any students who we have a suspicion that there's a disability impacting their educational progress. That can be a disability in the area of academics, like a learning disability. It can be a disability in the area of behavior and emotional disturbance, OHI. There's a whole range of disabilities that we want to make sure we're identifying promptly. So with the 8.5% indicator code gone, Child Find is under the microscope across the state. So in addition to it just being something that we should be doing because it's right for kids, also wanted to make sure people are aware there are parents, there are advocates, there are attorneys who are looking very carefully at this Child Find responsibility. So how can you help? I really need campus administrators to get the word out to counselors, to teachers. All staff need to know that if a parent requests a special education evaluation, please immediately contact the diagnostician or LSSP assigned to your campus. They know you're going to be reaching out to them because once a parent makes that request, there are some very formal responses, whether we're saying yes, whether we're saying no. There's a formal documentation of our response that has to happen. And your diagnostician or your LSSP can help you navigate that. Based on this conversation, we did have one campus point out that their staff handbook had verbiage in it that was sort of opposed to this message. So, for example, the staff handbook that came to our attention was the statement said there must be interventions documented prior to a referral for special education. So we helped them substitute with verbiage that was more along the lines of, if you staff suspect a disability, please talk to your DIAG or your LSSP. I will mention that I happened to be at an event yesterday where there was an advocate, and she said to me, I'm wondering how Round Rock's doing with this post 8.5% child fine piece. I've been talking to lots of teachers, and they're all saying there's nothing different in their practice. They've not been asked to do anything differently. So just a quick reminder to get out the message to our counselors, to our teachers. If a parent asks, we definitely want your diagnostician or LSSP to help you navigate that ask. Also, we can't have any current interventions delaying a referral to special education. Interventions are important and worth doing and good for kids, but they can't delay testing. And that is a shift for us, for our mindset. And then lastly this morning, if you are feeling a little bit inundated with special education, if you feel a little overwhelmed, there are a lot of compliance pieces. There are a lot of do's and don'ts. If you're struggling to navigate that, there's this very short article that was written by an attorney who specializes in special education. And it's very brief. It's just 2 pages. This article gives really great advice, great guidance on what are the key pieces. What is it that you as a campus administrator need to focus your time and your energy on? So you'll have access to that. Like I said, it's just 2 pages, really great information. Good place to start if you're wondering which end is up when it comes to special education. Thanks for all you do for all of our kids, those with disabilities and those without. And that's it for me.
All right, thanks, Marie. And Marie also will share all those resources, and we'll put those out on the posts coming up. Didn't see any questions for you, Marie, so if you don't have anything else, then we'll move on.
Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
All right, thanks, Marie. All right, Sherry Bonds, you're up. Oh. Hang on, Sherry, you're muted.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Can we see the slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So just really quickly, 2 things that I want to talk about are certifications on accountability, and then also a TEA program of study review that they're conducting right now. So certifications for accountability, I've already been to Stony Point. Your CTE Academy specialists have been charged with getting some time with campus administrators, either in an admin team meeting or in another venue, just to explain this process. If that hasn't happened, please let me know. I'll make sure that they're doing that. If you want me to come out and participate with that as well, I am happy to do so. Just to let you know, we in the district absolutely support all of our certifications that are either on the very small accountability list that TEA has recently published and updated last week. There's also a federal list that's our Perkins list. And then we also just offer some certifications that are not on either of those lists, but we know they're good for kids, that they need, things like CPR. That doesn't count on any of those reports, but we know that our students benefit from that in their programs of study. So CTE with our industry and business certifications are actually part of the College Career and Military Readiness Measure, or the CCMR. Of all of the certifications out there, the list that are available for that CCMR point, there are 74 different certifications. In class of 2018, we offered over 20 certifications, and that really varies by campus. What you probably noticed on the 2018 accountability that just came out, and that was your class of 2017 grads, so we're always a year in the rears, no certifications were listed. That final report came out, and that was kind of the punch to my stomach, wondering where did our items go. Our information, all of our certifications, you could see there were 156 district-wide, were in our information system, but were not pulled into PEIMS. We've already had several meetings to discuss that process, to figure out where the breakdown was, and to make sure on this next year that we get those accounted for y'all on your campuses, but also our district list. We want to make sure that the students are valued in all of the work that they've completed. So we're making that remedy. There was discussion about potentially doing an appeal with TEA. The appeal, unfortunately, is only if it's a TEA error, and in this case, it was actually a district error. And so we won't be filing an appeal. Last I heard, I'll defer to Kathy if she decides to change that over in her assessment department. For 2019 accountability, for the class of 2018, you'll see at the bottom, 334 students earned 419 certifications out of the class of 2018 that are on the accountability list. So it was a very small list in that first year because the list was actually published after class of 2017 graduated. You wouldn't be able to get that get away with that as campus administrators if that's how you appraised your teachers or if students were graded. But of course, that's how it operates with accountability. We did not know that until afterwards. So since the list has been published, we've really been working. And so you'll see that double increase of certifications and students being successful. All of this information, this link up here, certifications on accountability, it will take you to a folder that you all have access to. But within this folder, there's a sheet for every single campus plus the district information. On the district sheet, you will see, and these all look very similar. In yellow, you'll see the highlight of what should have been counted for this year. And I took a screenshot of the CCMR so you can see actually where our blanks were, where they should have been, and how that'll factor in. If you're not very familiar with accountability, and I'm sure Kathy has given this before, everything above this red line is all counted and recorded, or is all recorded, I should say, and then each student only qualifies one time. If they qualify in TSI, they don't stop recording AP and IB dual credit for those kids. They capture all of that information, and then they factor out just to where each student counts one time. We also then, at the very bottom, you'll see CTE coherent sequence takers. Those are students that did not qualify in the top. Then they go and search for those kids and they give them a half of a credit or a half of a point. As a district total, we should have had those 156 exams for 5%. Would that have changed our overall rating? After Kathy's folks have run the numbers, no. And even by campus, we don't think it would have, but our whole snapshot was not included. You can see already for class of 2018, for 2019 accountability, 334 students, 419 certifications. Like I said, each campus, we've set up a separate sheet for that. So just some talking points to understand, to review. Things to please do, continue to support diverse program offerings and student choice based on interest. 2 years ago, we had a methods of administration visit, an MOA visit with TEA on one of our campuses. And a big thing is that everything has to be driven by student choice and interest. We cannot funnel kids into certain program areas because of maybe what we think should be their interest or where they may best meet their skills. It really is supposed to be about the kiddos. So you shouldn't be placing a certain program of study because they need that exam. If you would please, how can you help? Just continue to support your teachers on campus, encourage them to have students to study. Teachers could, continue to prepare all kids so that they can earn their CCMR points, but especially with our certifications, provide extra tutoring, just different support to those kids. And then also including certifications potentially as a T-test goal. We know CTE is a little bit different and doesn't always fit into T-test goals like core does exactly. And so this is one of those areas where they actually can make a difference. We're not an EOC tested area, but that's where we can make a help. And then of course, at the bottom, please don't funnel kids into certain areas that could potentially trigger another TEA office. But we are also a federal program just like special ed. And so tracking kids can be seen as a violation with the Office of Civil Rights. So just, do what you're doing, continue good work with students, and we'll see these numbers increase. And we already have steps in place to make sure that our certifications are included in the 2019 accountability. The other item I wanted to talk to you about was something that you may have already heard about or seen if you follow the Texas Tribune. This information was shared yesterday. TEA has a new division director of college and career and military readiness. part of her push with TEA is to review all of our programs of study across the state, connect them with workforce data, and make changes. There are 13 cluster groups that are meeting right now to come up with those changes. Some of your teachers may have read the article. I'm going to actually share it with our teachers just so that they're aware of the process. We've already talked about it with them a little bit, but TEA's timeline basically is to have these groups working with industry professionals, have workforce data, district and teachers to come up with these new programs of study. They'll be released, as you see, in November and December to be able to look at and to review and provide public comment. Then in January or February is when the commissioner is actually supposed to sign these and approve them. We have a year if we want to opt in the 1920 school year, we can. But after that, we must all adopt whatever TEA programs of study. Of course, as they're telling us right now, this all could change, but we all have to adopt their prescribed programs of study in 2021. So what does that mean? We're not exactly sure. That means that right now we're going to continue to provide the best instruction we can to our kids, prepare them for what our industry partners in our advisory boards are telling us what's important, obviously following TEKS, preparing them for certification exams. But that means we are potentially looking at some changes in program offerings. In some areas, it may be switching out classes. In other areas, it could mean removing programs of study if TEA deems that appropriate. We are in a holding pattern. So we've already let our teachers know that for the 1920 school year, so next year's school year, we are not intending to make changes to our programs of study or even add or remove new courses that haven't already been planned to do, because we just don't know if we're going to be mandated to change that following year. So that could, if we had changes next school year, that could mean 3 years of different programs of study. So we're just in a holding pattern. If you are McNeil and Stony Point, who are in your biomedical science track, and then also the law program over at Stony Point, we still have courses to finish out in those programs of study, and we are fully intending to do that because those are promises already made for next school year. We absolutely will do that. We just don't know about anything else beyond that point. It's very interesting times. We will see. It could be very exciting. It could mean some new opportunities of programs that don't currently exist in the state that we could offer. It could also just mean that, you know, nothing changes really for Round Rock because we've had such robust and strong sequences in the past that historically have done really well for our students. So we really just don't know. We'll wait and see what TEA puts out in January. And then we'll move forward from there. If you have questions, please, your first line is always with your Academy specialist. Beyond that, you can ask me any questions, and we are always happy to help, but just let us know.
All right. Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right. You have a good day. I didn't see any questions come in, so I'm sure they'll work with that Academy specialist or reach out to you as well.
Sounds great. Thanks.
All right, everybody. So I am going to wrap us up with a video from Jeff Lucemon. He's, I believe, in a training today. So he recorded a video ahead of time about some updates from his department that we would love to share with you. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to try to do that here. There we go. And I'm going to play that.
Hi, all. This is Jeff Lucemon, Director of Instructional Technology. And today I'm here to share where you can find some information on the district software approval process, on digital textbooks, and digital citizenship. When looking for information on whether it be on district software and apps or digital textbooks or digital citizenship, the best place to look is going to be on our Instructional Technology website. And probably the easiest way to find that is from the Round Rock IC homepage. Go to the A to Z index and click on the Instructional Technology website. And so you'll see once you get to the website, we have 3 links here for each of the different areas. And I've already opened up these pages just for the sake of time, so we don't have to wait for these pages to load. So the first thing we want to talk about is the district software and apps page. On this page, teachers will find a list of apps that are currently approved for use in Round Rock. And if it's not currently approved for use, it gives them all the information and instructions on what they need to do to submit an app for approval. As I scroll through this, you'll see there's different ways to submit an app, if it's just for campus use or if it's for a district or a department use. But as I scroll down, we'll get to the list of the apps, and this is where teachers can come in and see, they can find the app here and see if it's listed. And then usually it might give a caution or something, maybe it needs written parental consent required for children under 13. So things like that can be found on this page. The second thing we want to talk about are digital learning resources and online textbooks. And on this page, this is where teachers can find help for all of their digital textbooks that they have. And you can see we have them all broken down by content. And when a teacher clicks on one of these links, it will take them to the list of textbooks. And on those pages, the teachers will find information for both on how the teacher should be able to log into the textbook and how students can log into these textbooks. One thing I want to point out on this page is if they ever have any issues with any of their textbooks, they can come right here and click and submit a ticket. And this creates a Sharewell ticket that gets sent straight to Kristen Ray, who is our learning application specialist, and she will very quickly work with them to resolve any issues that they have. And then the last thing I want to touch on today is on digital citizenship. We also have a page linked here on digital citizenship that gives lots of information on this topic. And one of the things you, as a principal, you may get asked about is parent resources for digital citizenship and keeping their children safe online. And we do have a link to that. We have a link to our Digital Citizenship Week and information also. But we also have our curriculum guide. And this curriculum guide is a list of activities for throughout the year that campuses can use. And it's broken down by elementary, middle school, and high school. And as we come down here, you can see the different topics for each of the months throughout the year. So this is another great place to come for information. And I would say on any of these three topics, whether it be on software and apps, whether it be on digital learning resources, digital textbooks, or on digital citizenship, if you have any questions on that the best person to contact would be your campus ITS, and they can help walk you through all of these different areas. And the last thing I'll leave you with today is my contact information, as well as the contact information for the assistant directors of instructional technology, Autumn and Eric. One change for this year is that we've tried to align our department with the district as far as the vertical learning communities go. And so this year, Autumn, who previously served as the assistant director for elementary, is now the assistant director for the McNeil and Westwood learning communities. And Eric, who was previously the assistant director for secondary, he is now the assistant director for Cedar Ridge, Round Rock, and Stony Point VLCs. If you guys have any questions or anything we can help you with, please feel free to reach out to us. Thanks for listening today, and have a great day.
All right. Well, thanks, Jeff, for that. Didn't see any questions come in for his presentation either, but you always know how to reach out to Jeff if you need anything. And just a couple quick last announcements from me. We're going to be doing these principal hangouts once a month, so we hope this is an efficient way for you to get a lot of the information that you need in a timely manner, and really, so we're not taking up a lot of that face-to-face time, which is so valuable for professional learning and other things that assistant principals and principals need and want to be doing when you do have time together. So never hesitate to reach out to me if there's a different department or a different topic that you'd like to see covered in our monthly hangout. And as I said before, I'll be adding links to everything that we talked about today on the Principal Hangout website, and we'll email that out to everybody this afternoon as well. So I hope everybody has an awesome day, and we'll see you again next month.